This is BankCents, the podcast that makes sense of all things banking. If there's something you don't understand about banking or finances, you're not alone. Our industry experts are bringing you informative and enjoyable conversations that break down bank jargon and dive into hot-button financial topics. And now, BOS, a community bank located across Illinois and Missouri, presents BankCents. Here's your host, Gregory Marantz.
Hi, and welcome back to BankCents, the podcast that makes sense of all things banking. I'm your host, Greg Marantz, Executive Vice President here at the Bank of Springfield. And on today's episode, we're going to bring you something a little bit different. This October, we're celebrating 60 years in banking. To commemorate 60 years in banking, we're going to have 4 special guests on today's episode to talk about where we've been and where we're going in the future. Those 4 special guests include our former CEO and current Chairman of the Board, Tom Marantz, our current CEO and Vice Chairman of the Board, Jason Knoedler, our President of the bank, Mike Pence, and our Executive Vice President of Marketing and Communications, Jennifer Marantz. With these guests, we're going to talk about how the bank came to be. We're going to talk about some of our favorite memories that we've had at the bank, some of the mentors that have helped guide us along the way to where we're at today. And then finally, we're going to talk about where we're going in the next 60 years. So let's dive in. Our first guest on this episode is our second ever CEO at the bank, our current Chairman of the Board, and my favorite title, my father. So Tom Marantz, welcome on to BankCents.
Thank you, son.
We're excited to have you on today. And so you've been at the bank for going on 46 years. Mm-hmm. And you were one of the perfect people to bring on to tell our listeners a little bit about the Bank of Springfield and who we are and what we've become. And so can you give them a little bit of background about how the bank really came to be?
Well, the bank came to be with a bunch of people that got together and wanted to start one on Stevenson Drive. And they started a bank, and Dad was the president of that. And it started in, 60 years ago.
Yeah, 1965. Celebrated our 60th anniversary in October, which we're all really excited about. And as you always mention, the starting the bank was the hardest part about.
Well, the beginning of the part of the bank was the hardest. I mean, I don't know how your grandfather did it, really. He was in the carpet and drapery business and moved over in his 40s and switched careers.
Yeah, and as much as we have a lot of credit to give to my grandfather, your father as well, a lot of the credit to where the bank's gone in these 60 years goes to you. And I don't think we would be where we are today without you. So we're very fortunate to have you guiding us along the way for these past 60 years, and excited for the next 60 years as well. Expanding upon that, what are some of it's hard to single out probably one moment, what's your most memorable moment as a banker, but maybe you can give our listeners 1 or 2 memorable moments that you've had at the bank that really give you pride in what you do every day.
One is, a loan I made to a young couple that really didn't qualify, but they got to adopt a kid. And I just think that's what community banking is about. There's bigger deals that have been done in more impressive things, but that's one of the most important. I think we really helped a lot when we got in the mortgage market, and there's a lot of people that helped with that. Harry Argus and Vito Principelli were big on that, and we've been lucky that we're growing one customer at a time, and we've done it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things here at the bank is it's not one single person that's done this all. We couldn't have done it with all the team that you built from the very beginning and that Grandpa built from the very beginning, and that we're still building today. It's really given us that foundation to be who we are and hopefully continue that culture for years to come.
Yeah, and in the beginning we were ready to do anything. Like our CFO, Ed McKevers, would close loans during the day when we were just on Stevenson Drive. And as we've grown, I'm very proud of the team that we have now. I think the bank is in the best situation it's ever been. And it's overnight success in 60 years.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate your insight and passing on some of that to our listeners.
Well,
thanks.
The best thing is to have a family-oriented bank that's going forward.
Our next guest is our current CEO, Jason Knoedler. Jason's been at the bank for just about 20 years and recently became our CEO about a year and a half ago. So Jason's another perfect person to talk to us about what the bank represents and where we've come in the past 60 years. So Jason, one thing when we talk about the bank, what makes us so special is that we're a community bank. So can you tell us a little bit, what does it mean to be a community bank?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me, Greg, and excited to sit down and talk about 60 years. It seems to be that we just celebrated 50 years yesterday. I mean, it's amazing how fast time can fly, but I'm excited to use this moment to reflect back on 60 years. But when you talk about community banking, I mean, that word community just says a lot in itself. We are ingrained in every single community that we serve. And, you look around and you look at the number of businesses and the number of people that we've had an impact on. That's what's most exciting about what we've done over the last 60 years and what we hopefully can do for the next 60 years.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part about being a community bank is doing our part in those communities we're in. And in all the communities we're in, we have members of our team that are on different boards and involved in different community projects and involved anywhere and everywhere they really can be.
Yeah, I mean, we're blessed to have an incredible opportunity with the number of things that we are able to get involved with. Our people are constantly donating their time and their money to several different causes in the community. You mentioned serving on boards, but there's several other committees around town. Being involved with youth sports and different non-for-profits is a big part of what we do here at the bank.
Yeah, obviously that makes the bank, it makes us who we are, being a community bank. But the other thing that makes us who we are is the people. And that kind of leads us into my next question is, we couldn't be where we are today without the people that have helped build this bank. Who are a couple of the mentors that really have shaped your banking career over the last 20 years?
Well, that's a great question. And I have got tremendous pride in the over 360 people that we employ now. And, they've got an incredible commitment. But looking back on just my 20-year career, but knowing and learning about those that came before me and us even, your father and my father-in-law, Tom Marantz, has been a big part of teaching me a lot about what community banking is. And to this day, there's not a day that goes by that I don't learn something from him. Mike Pence, our current president, has made a big impact on, what I do on a daily basis. And his commitment to the retail side of the bank and the culture of this bank and the community is a big part of what I try to live by on a daily basis.
Yeah, we're very lucky with the people that we're able to learn from. And as you mentioned previously, we've come a long way in 60 years, but, the reward for hard work is more hard work. So where do you see the legacy moving forward for the bank, the next 60 years?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the incredible opportunity that we do have. And Bob Cockrell, another mentor of mine that just recently retired, he always used to say, we do a lot of things right. So continuing that commitment on finding opportunities to be involved in the community, look for opportunities to be involved with different projects, making sure that our culture here at the bank remains strong. We like to say that we have each other's backs, and we stay pretty busy, but making sure that we're taking care of our people, making sure that we're taking care of our customers is a big part of what we need to continue to do over the next 60 years.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too, is our focus isn't just on our employees, it's on our customers as well. We see us all as one team together. And I think that's one thing that we do really well here at the bank is we are a team with our customers, and that relationship is so important to us because if they're succeeding, we're succeeding.
That's right. And the better that our community does, the better that we do. And, sometimes it's not all about the numbers. The big mega banks in the world, they're reporting to Wall Street, they're reporting their quarterly earnings, and it seems to be more about the numbers than the people. And I think if we continue to have our focus on the people, both internally and externally, I think that we'll continue to be successful.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks again for coming on today and talking about the bank. I mean, it's something that we live and breathe every day, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to tell our listeners a little bit more about the bank and where we've been the last 60 years and where we're going the next 60.
It's amazing how fast time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks.
Our next guest on the 60th anniversary episode is our president at Bank of Springfield, Mike Pence. Mike's been at the bank for 29 years and has been president for the last number of years. So, Mike, welcome on to BankCents.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you on, as we've had on my father, Tom, and our CEO, Jason Knoedler. We've talked a lot about, where the bank's been and where it's going in the future. But one of the things that you, I think, really headed up for the bank, and that's something we can really be proud of, is our internal culture and what that has really turned into here at the bank. And I think it's something to be very proud of. Can you give our listeners a little bit of insight on what your philosophy is and how you view our internal culture and why it's so important?
Yeah, sure. We devote a lot of time and effort into the employee experience, the customer experience, employee happiness, all those things. And, we care a lot about our staff. We genuinely care about them and we care about their families, and we want to create an environment, an internal culture that is one where, they want to come to work. They not a have to get a paycheck, to that it's a job, that they genuinely want to be here, and they believe in what we're accomplishing, and they're committed to that. They're committed to their teammates, and they want to do whatever they can to help the bank be successful. And we've done a great job of that. But it takes everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just one individual. It's got to be 100% of us committed to making this work and doing it each and every day. And we've done a great job with it. In fact, this past summer, we conducted an employee happiness survey, and I'm pleased to say 87% of our staff were either very happy or happy. And that's an amazing number, and something all of us in management are very proud of.
Yeah, we're very lucky with our staff. And I think one thing that you've taught me since I've been at the bank is that it really shows a trickle-down effect as well. Is if our employees are happy and they're engaged and they're really proud of what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, that trickles down to the customers that they're bringing in and helps really, round out the bank and what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, there's no question about it, Greg. And we're regularly touching our customers to find out, what that experience has been like with our staff, whether it's at the teller line, opening a new account, getting a mortgage, whatever it is, and finding out, how that was. And we get a lot of wows where, customers say how great Greg Marantz is,
Mm-hmm.
and then we celebrate those. And we're not perfect. We do make mistakes, but I think one of the biggest things we do very, very well also is we fix them when we make one. And we don't let that linger, and we apologize, and we use that as a coaching moment, maybe for the staff. But again, we apologize for the customer, and we fix the issue.
Yeah, and I think when you think about culture, the one thing you really think about is who helped inspire you to think that way as well. And who are the people that came before you to help teach you to have that attitude towards culture. And it's really hard, as I mentioned, you've been at the bank for 29 years, you've been in banking a little longer than that. Who are some of the mentors that helped teach you how important culture was, and then just overall just taught you about banking?
Right. I would probably definitely break that down into personal and business. Personally, my parents were always ones that say, just be yourself. Don't try to be somebody you're not. And, just be your good. It sticks in my head all the time. Just be your good self, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
and things will be fine. And my grandma Shoemaker, who basically helped raise me, she would always told me, just be kind to everybody, and be thankful for what you have. And, she was an amazing woman, and that sticks in my head. And that's kind of who I am personally. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you're around me a lot, that's how I interact with all the staff, everybody. And business standpoint, being in banking, a lot of mentors there. Dick McCord, Mick McGlasson, Tom Marantz. You take different things from different individuals, different leaders, and things that you want to emulate, and things that maybe you don't. But that kind of shapes you as a leader and as an individual in the business world. And Dick McCord was a true professional. I mean, he's a very, very diplomatic guy. He really understood how to balance situations. Sure. and be very, very diplomatic in making a decision. And Mick McGlasson was one of the best listeners I've ever been around, and he would ask your input. He wasn't one that was doing all the talking. He really sought input to gather all the information to really make a good decision. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, Tom, your father. I mean, Tom gets you to think about how to do things better. It's never perfect. There's always a better way, and that constant improvement, man, he's got that dial into my head each and every day, that no matter how things are going, it can always be a little better. But again, you take
Mm-hmm.
things from a lot of different people
Yeah.
to share.
One of the things I really like when you're talking about your mentors as well is that you brought in the family aspect of it as well. Yeah. And I think that translates a lot into the message that you've always put forward about culture, is that you look at it as a family. And that's how we look at all of our employees here at the bank. We look at everyone as part of the family. And I think that's one thing that has made us so successful is that we've tried to make every employee, as we've grown from 10 employees to 350 we're at today, feel like part of the family. Absolutely. And I think it starts with people that have good values and obviously had good surroundings when they grew up. And so I'm really glad you brought that up as well as the obviously the big influences of banking, because we've all had a lot of those, and we're all very lucky. Finally, the question I want you to leave our listeners with is, when you think about the bank, 5 years, 10, 15 years from now, what do you think, and what do you want the bank's legacy to be?
Well, as you said, I've been to the bank 29 years, and that's crazy. It's hard to believe, but we've experienced some really significant growth over that period. And I would say what I'm most proud of is we stayed true to ourselves. We never forgot how we got there, and we did it, what you said earlier a little bit, we did it one client at a time. That client was the most important client we had. We never forgot that. And we haven't lost sight of that. And we did it through having a great internal culture with our staff, and having each other's back and supporting our expansion markets. And nothing makes me prouder than when I go into the staff meeting and I announce 4 or 5 20+ anniversaries at the bank. Yeah. I mean, that's we haven't forgot how we got to where we're at, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thanks again for coming on today to help share, all your experiences and everything that you've had your 29 years here at the bank. You've been a very influential part of those, the 60 years that we've been a bank. And I'm excited to see, where we go in the future. So thanks again for coming on. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Our next and final guest on the 60th anniversary episode is Jennifer Marantz. Jen's our Executive Vice President of Marketing Communications here at the bank and has been at the bank for 15 years. Jen, welcome.
Thank you.
So when we're talking about our 60th anniversary, in 60 years, the bank's come a long way. So what does that growth mean to you, and what does it look like to you over those 60 years and really over the last 15 years that you've been at the bank?
Yeah, I think both of us are in a unique position where we might not have been working here as long as many people, but we've been around the bank our whole lives. So we have learned what it's like to be with 12 people in one branch and getting to run around and bring in donuts. And now we get to run around to our 13 communities and see the family and our culture and our communication just grow. And I think that it's very rewarding, but it's also a really cool position to be in because we also get to see our family grow throughout that time. And yeah.
Yeah, it's been, really a unique experience for us. And as our father was on earlier and our brother-in-law, and as we talk about the bank, I think one of the resounding themes that we talk about, it is family. Mm-hmm. As cheesy as that might sound, but we really look at it as family. And it goes back to the days where we were visiting our father when we had one branch on Stevenson Drive. And we would go visit him and run across the street to Taipan or Hardee's for lunch or for dinner, and then come back over and see all these employees that really did feel like family. And I think that's one thing we try to do, is try to continue on that as we move forward and keep growing.
Yeah, I think that when the bank first started, we didn't know the impact that it could have. I'm not even sure our grandfather did, but through our father and the many people that he brought on board, and now our brother-in-law, we've seen it grow, and we really still get the experience of some employees that have been with us, that have started a teller line, and now are part of our C-suite. We still get the ability to learn from them, and that's really cool for us because hopefully that helps us expand our culture as we continue to grow.
Yeah, one of the big questions we've asked our father and Jason and Mike is what we know what the legacy of the bank is from our grandfather's perspective and from our father's perspective. Mm-hmm. What do we see our legacy being, for us for the next 20, 30 years? Where do you see that kind of moving forward?
To be honest, I'm not sure I even know. I think that the world is changing so quickly that I'm really grateful that the generations before us had such a clear outlook and knew what we could do for the communities we've gone into. And now the next 60 years is just trying to remember those values, but also realize that we need to keep changing and keep evolving, and hopefully still be that pillar in each of the communities we are in to see those communities continue to grow and be great places to raise a family and to work in and to live in and to go to school in and all the things.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And when you look at technology and everything that's evolving, the world's just moving faster and faster. And one of my favorite sayings that I think I've ever actually heard is that this moment in time right now, the world has never moved faster and it's never going to move this slow again.
Yeah.
So we're adapting, and with technology and everything that comes out, we're going to have to continue to adapt.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really good point that you brought up, is that we're going to have to keep adapting and keep changing and keep finding ways to meet our customers' needs and be fair to our employees and continue to grow. So I think you bring up a really good point.
Everyone write that down. My brother thinks I brought up a good point.
It occasionally happens. Well, Jen, thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for
we
having
really
me.
appreciate you coming on and sharing your insights, along with our father and then Jason and Mike, as part of our executive team. As we see us moving in the future, you're a huge part of it, and we're lucky to have you as part of the team, and the rest of the staff is as well. So thank you.
Same to you, bud.
Thank you for listening to our special 60th anniversary podcast. I was excited to bring on individuals today to share with you their special experiences and the people that have influenced them to help influence what the bank has become today. Over 60 years, BOS has provided great service to the communities that they serve in, and I'm excited to see where the next 60 years go. On a personal note, we couldn't have done what the bank has done today without the people that have helped us along the way. So to employees past and present, and the employees in the future, and our customers that we serve, thank you. As always, this has been BankCents, the podcast that makes sense of all things banking. Until next time.
Is there something about banking that doesn't make sense to you? Submit your questions to us on Instagram Messenger or by email, bankcents@bankwithbos.com. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, comment below. We're happy to give you our 2 cents on a wide range of topics. Thank you for listening on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And please leave us a 5-star rating and review so we can continue to bring you more educational content. Thank you for listening, and we hope you join us on the next episode of BankCents.